Wagwan, my people, how you doing? This is DJ Sen with my co-host, Chico!
Dehaha.
Wazi. You are watching Chatroom 101. Let's get it. What's up, chat roomies? First of all, I want to say thank you so much for watching, subscribing, liking. If you have not, my guy, what are you waiting for, man? Subscribe. It's free of charge. Thank you so much for watching us on your TV, allowing us to be in your TV, on your tablet, on your phone. Thank you so much for not going to any other podcast and you're like, I'm going to listen to Chatroom 101. We don't take it for granted. Thank you so much. Today we have an amazing guest. As always we do. His name is Stano or Stanley, you know, but kizungu ameenda shule utasikio jina. He's a vet, an author, and a man we would love to hear his story. So without wasting our time and your time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, grandmas and grandpas, wadau des, please help us welcome Stano. Ni aje Stano?
Fitty.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
We are doing great. We are so excited to have you on our chat. There are a couple of things we want to chop up with you. And first of all, we just say thank you so much for serving. Because of your sacrifice, we are here, some of us. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And for the great introduction.
Yeah. You may find justice.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much. So welcome to Chatroom 101. Here we chat. It's a free space. Do be you. And I'm going to hand it over to my co-host. Today she's running the boat. I'm just chilling. Yeah, she's the one running the boat. I'm just the assistant.
Hi, Stanley.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Sasa, you know, like he said, we're just chatting.
Right.
So we want you to tell us a little bit about you, yourself, like who you are. A short intro. Yeah, will serve how long? Like, just give us a brief introduction of mimi ni Stano hivi. Tupeka details tu kadogo tu.
All right, Sasa. Once again, my name is Stanley Kagwima. If you want, you can call me Stan, Stano. So starting from right now, I am a safety engineer in the aviation industry, aviation aerospace. I've been doing that for about 2.5 years. Before that, I worked as a software test engineer, serving the Navy, not in the military, but as a contractor. And then prior to that, as you mentioned, I was in the Army. I used to be a helicopter mechanic. So I did that for about 6 years. Held multiple roles from being a line mechanic to a crew chief, preparing aircraft for flight. Transitioned all the way to a technical inspector, and that actually laid some foundation for the things that I came to do much later. And of course, before that, I was a student. Took a long time to graduate. I started back in 2008, and I actually graduated with my aerospace engineering degree in 2022. But of course, throughout that whole time, I served for 6 years in the Army, and I didn't stop growing just because I was waiting to graduate. I didn't let that stop me from getting into a good career, progressing myself. And fast forward to today, some of the things that I do today is a career coach, as a mentor. They're based on my experience and things that I have learned along the way. And I decided to take that and help other people to also find their footing and get into some desirable careers as well.
Wow. So you said you started school in 2008.
Yes.
Na ukamaliza. So that's where, like, that wapo ndo kwenye umeniacha. Like, you lost me there.
Okay.
In 2008, no umegraduate mwaka gani tena?
2022. Yes.
Ni masomo ulipenda ukakaa shule hizo miaka zote ama like where was the disco? Because now me I can't imagine being in school for that. Mimi mwenyewe kwa nini nitamaliza primary na high school siku gani nitoke shule? Karibu hata nikose kuenda nini?
So it doesn't mean that I was full-time enrolled in school the whole time. It's just that from the time that I set foot in college to the time that I actually graduated with my bachelor's degree, it took that long. I had some breaks in between.
Were you in and out? Okay, so yeah, that's the point. So you took breaks in between, so you were in and out.
Yes, but I continued learning. I got my associate's degree in engineering first, and then that was in 2012.
Wow.
And then, of course, life ikakuwa ngumu, issues with scholarships, and that's why I shifted from a 4-year college to a community college. And then, I just continued learning. Challenges ikakuwa mingi. Like I had said, the military is a cheat code. So I got into the military, served for 6 years, and within that time, of course, I was not doing a lot of schooling. I could take a class here and there, skill-based classes, things that I wanted to further my knowledge in. So I based most of my schooling at that time on that. And by the time I got my associate's degree, I had a lot of credits, almost enough to make a bachelor's degree. It's just that they were not, satisfying a requirement for a degree.
Okay. And then you also mentioned about you being a career coach.
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit more on that?
So that's something that I have actually been doing.
Or first of all, explain what a career coach is for somebody who's not understanding the term already.
Okay, so a career coach is someone who provides guidance and creates like a roadmap for someone who is either getting into a new career, someone who is transitioning from one career to another, or just someone who knows generally what they want to do, but they don't know how. So just providing that strategy for you to go from kind of like a survival mode to thriving mode in whatever career that you're trying to get into.
What about somebody who they don't know yet what they want to do? Can you still be able to guide them on the path they can take in their career?
Absolutely. And there's a line between being a career coach and a career counselor. So to be a career counselor, you have to have a specific kind of credentialing, because that involves, even by the state, you need to have specific credentials for that. And for me, I look at myself more as a career coach. I use my experience from other people to guide them and to give them a plan, or work with them in terms of a plan. For someone who doesn't know what they want to do, we can sit down and explore different options, and pretty much the same thing that we would do with we would do with someone who already knows, just providing those options and helping someone who is already motivated to pick something that they gravitate towards. Yeah.
Wow. So in short, you are a career coach.
Yes.
But to guide somebody who doesn't know what they want to do, they actually need a career counselor, more like it.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. But that would be the best route for them for them to go. But also the strategy that I use is very easy. And the things that I do, the language that I use, and I forgot to introduce myself as the author of the upcoming book, The Ungraduated Professional. And in that book, I talk about, things like that. Those I dig deeper into those strategies that I guide people through, and it's at a very understandable level. We're not trying to flaunt big, English words and terms and all that jargon and all that. It's all about helping people understand. And as you can as you can tell from the title of the book, The Ungraduated Professional, it caters for, someone who has gone to, maybe they haven't gone to high levels of education, and also to even people who have degrees, but maybe the degrees feel useless or not relevant in the journey that they're in.
Okay. Wow. So you talked about you being in the military, and for starters, you're coming from Kenya. So would you say what are the challenges as an immigrant, like maybe you faced trying to join in the military, or actually while you were in the military, was there challenges you faced just because you were an immigrant?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, maybe from the beginning, even before joining, there's this stigma about being in the military. So the first time that I actually learned about joining the military, I remember talking to my mom back in Kenya, and telling her, what I was thinking. Of course, my dad was there as well. And I told them, hey, you guys know I'm having these challenges paying for my tuition and all that, but there's a path to getting this done. Yes, and this is the military. And my mom discouraged me, and she was like, no, you can't do that. You're gonna go die, all that stuff. But fast forward, when I got to a point and I felt that, I really had to do it, I just signed up, and I didn't tell them until just a few weeks, maybe months before shipping to basic training. Told them, hey, actually, that thing we were talking about, I already signed up, and I'm leaving in December. So it was too late. They couldn't change my mind.
What was their reaction when they heard that?
Well, my mom was worried. She was worried. And it took a while for her to actually get to terms with it, because even after I had gone through all the training and they got a chance to come here and visit, my mom was almost always worried about me being in the military, until some point where, she kind of started getting to terms with the fact that, this is actually working for me. It's transformed my life in a way. So but still throughout the whole time, and especially, being sent overseas, it got them really worried.
Were you active duty or reserve?
I was active duty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Active duty is like how long?
What do you mean?
Like the contract you sign.
So all military contracts are 8 years.
Ooh.
So the only difference is, depending on the job that you pick, you can serve for a short. Some jobs may be 3 years active, and then you have to pick how you want to spend the rest of the 5 years. You can go into individual ready reserve, what a lot of people like to call inactive, but it's not inactive. So they can call you anytime, after, let's say, those 3 years, you get out, and then you just continue doing your thing, and then if they need you, they can call you back. Or you can decide to either go into the reserves, or even re-enlist and serve more active duty time, or even go to the National Guard. So you can decide to do any of those combinations. You decide how you're going to spend your 8-year term.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you talked about being a career coach. So should I say who, or what generation kind of people do you normally get to deal with? What age group do you normally deal with, like as a career coach?
So my experience so far has been with young people. I've been working with young people for quite a while. I'm a youth mentor as well. So I gravitate a lot towards younger people who are just graduating from college, but pretty much anyone, because I realize that sometimes we look at life and career, and we just think about the young people who are getting into, who are starting to work. But especially for us, people coming from a different country, you come here and you have to start afresh for a lot of people. So yeah, so whether you're 25, 35, 40, anyone can use the same strategies, because life nowadays has a way of equalizing people, whereby so it's not about your age, it's all about your needs and what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah, so any age group, pretty much.
When you, like you said, you're also dealing with a lot of like young people. What are the challenges you face, like when you're there being a mentor or a career coach, like when you try to advise or maybe talk to them? What are the challenges you experience?
So some of the things are based on parents and the background. Parents who have shaped their kids, or who have guided their kids that, hey, I want you to do this.
I want you to be a doctor.
Yes.
I want you to be a nurse.
Yes.
Especially that one.
Yeah. And sometimes these young people take that as the gospel truth. Like, hey, I have to go through the same process that other people have gone through. So that's it's very tough to deal with, because you're trying to break some of these self-imposed limitations that people have, or even limitations that have been imposed by the society, by family, and things like that. And I really get excited when I come across some people or young people who are doing something outside of that box. So I think the biggest thing is those limitations that have already been put in place by people themselves, based on what they've seen. If you've been around people who only do or talk about, hey, you come over here, you have to be a nurse.
Don't say we have all been there. As Kenyans, you have experienced it for sure. Like for me, my mom doesn't believe like whatever I'm doing will ever succeed, because I just didn't do nothing and I refuse to do nothing. And she's always like looking for, are you working right now? I'm like, Mom, it's a new job. I'm gonna get work some days it's just not gonna work, because I'm starting my own business. It's not like I'm going to be employed. So I have to be employed as an independent contractor. And that's something that she's battling with, because she asks me like almost every week, like, are you working this week? And I'm like, you gotta understand, like you get a contract, it's for a couple of weeks, then it's over. So you gotta wait till you get another contract. And she's like, Ama, you go back to school and do nothing. And I'm like, I already said it like over 5 years right now. I'm not doing it. So like, can we get past it? So like, I will say I'm part of the people which we are struggling with moving past the limitations caused by the people surrounding us. And it's such a big challenge, because sometimes you have to believe in yourself, because the people around you, if you didn't do what they expected you to do, they just don't believe whatever you're doing will work out.
Yeah. And I think most of them are coming from a good place.
It's coming from a good place for sure.
A place of safety. They've seen what has worked for other people. It's been tried and tested, but it's also limiting. So I think sometimes it's okay to risk a little bit. And looking back at my story, one of the reasons why it took me a long time to get through my college degree is because I got into a field that has not been trodden that much. Not a lot of people have gone through that process and found the tricks and how to go about it. Because for me, I struggled to get scholarships, especially the sequencing of my entry into this school, this program. So I had to kind of figure it out myself, and I had to be kind of stubborn, because I had a lot of people trying to tell me, hey, maybe you should try this, maybe change your major. But in my mind, I knew what I was really interested in. And, I had this image or this goal that I was trying to put together. And fast forward right now, all those pieces, they work so well. I mean, I'm still working towards more goals and but a lot of those pieces have kind of fallen in place, and I'm glad I didn't quit, or I didn't change my
But
program.
I have a question now for both of you, actually. Today there's no chilling for you too. You decided to chill.
Make it more.
If you decide to chill, I'm asking you questions. So you talked a little bit about like people have not been to those places, like when you talked about what you went into. So it was a challenge because like it has not been tested like
Sure.
the way the other things have been tested. So is it that things have not been tested, or is it that people get the information, the people who have achieved those things, but they just sit on it? So which one is it? Is it that it hasn't been tested, or is it that people limit the information they share about those things?
I think it's both, right? I would say both.
Why would you say both?
Because like him, he, in the field that he's in, we could have not known if we never went to look for him so that he can give us the information, right?
Yeah.
So he has the information, but he has no one to give it to. And then some of us, as he said, we have that mind, we have been constricted of this is the only way you can be able to be successful. And then you find someone else telling you something different, you're like, oh wow, so I can do this too. So it's both. I would say it's both.
And I agree with that. Yeah, I feel like maybe people who have gone through some of these paths, either they don't think that they can have any influence, or they just don't really think about it. They don't think about, mentorship. Not being mentored themselves, but when you go up a few steps, bring somebody else with you. At least give the information so that people can know, hey, by the way, I can do this, I can do that.
And I think you have interacted with so many young people over the years, right? What's the biggest confusion you see among them?
I think most of it is cultural. We have Kenyan-based families who are trying to live the U.S. culture. I think that's the biggest thing that I have come across. Even heard a lot of youth voice out, whereby they're in families where parents have these expectations of them about a culture that they don't really know about, which is like for us Kenyan culture. They don't really understand it, and then the parents have expectations from that mindset. But the reality is, they're here, they're being faced with challenges in the States, and they're not very, they don't have a very good environment that's accommodating them and, whatever they're going through. And I think once people get kind of destabilized in terms of, not having a very safe place to express themselves, and expressing themselves, it's verbally, behavioral, also career-wise. That's expressing yourself and being able to follow the things that you want to do and accomplish. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is just not having that very good. It's kind of like they don't really belong. They find themselves in between two cultures that they don't really feel complete ownership of either.
Wow. And the same thing when you're talking about the young people. So is there a way you can help like a young person understand or know the difference between them like trying to do what they want and also choosing things based on fear or like family stigma or something? Like they say family makes you believe like this is the certain path to follow. So how can somebody know the difference between when they're choosing a career path based on what is the pressure also, like this pressure and family and all of that put in place, and them like choosing something for themselves, like the people who don't even know why they're choosing a certain career. So like how would you help them know the difference between what is driving them to choose that path?
I think for the most part it's just driving the understanding. First of all, understanding yourself and self-awareness. Know the things that you gravitate towards. Know your purpose. Know the things that you've been you've been interested in for the longest, going back to your childhood. There's some things that you can sit and and remember. I used to be very much interested in this kind of a technology or things like that. For example, like kids who used to disassemble and reassemble electronics and things like that. Life will always give you some hints, right, about things that you are interested in. But in terms of understanding, why and what they're getting themselves into, I think having the knowledge about these careers and what they actually entail, because a lot of times people look at careers as titles, but they don't really know exactly what that career looks like. So having people who have gone through these journeys and share the daily routine and the ins and outs of those jobs or positions, they can help the younger people who are coming in to make decisions based on the reality, and also having a plan, like what exactly do I want in the long run. Am I just making this decision because I know, this career as a doctor I can make a lot of money, as a lawyer I can make a lot of money, but is that how about the lifestyle? How about what exactly do you want to do in the long run? And approaching those decisions from that perspective, I think that's what can help a lot of people make the best decisions for their lives. And also understanding, even if you're looking for money, there are many ways to get to that, because people look at today, and I get it, we have to survive. I did some jobs that just to get me to but you also have to know that, okay, this is a stepping stone for me. For example, like for me, the military, it wasn't going to be like that's my whole career. I wasn't going to do like the 20 years. I got in, did what I did, gave what I gave, and then in return, I knew the foundation that I was laying, but that was not to be my whole career. It was just a piece of the puzzle for me.
A stepping stone. I like that.
English So there are people who chose like certain careers. Maybe it's out of love for those careers, but then maybe at some point in time they're feeling like stuck. Maybe they're feeling like either they're getting also underpaid from the same job, despite like putting all their effort and hard work in it. So as a career coach, what advice would you give somebody like that?
So if you are feeling, underpaid, underappreciated, it means that either your strategy is not right, or maybe you are even in the wrong field, or maybe or even the industry. Because let's say, for example, an engineer in working for let's say a software developer working for like the state, they will have a different pay than let's say a software developer working for a private company like let's say like Microsoft or Apple. It's going to be different for someone working for as a contractor for let's say for the government, versus even being in the government as a general service GS employee, which is equivalent to what we used to call civil servants like back home. So you have to look at your strategy, and no one should feel like they are stuck, because it's either you are in the wrong field or the wrong industry. But you can always reinvent yourself and reposition yourself by asking yourself several questions. You have to have clarity of what you want to do, and sometimes we get into things and we don't have clarity. And then make sure that you are aligned in terms of your goals, your past, and other things that you're trying to do. And by doing that, you reposition yourself, whereby you use your experience to position yourself in a place that you can win. And this is just part of one of the frameworks that I actually use when coaching coaching people. And I dig deeper into it in the book, but just to highlight some of the things that can help people get out of that feeling of being stuck.
So what if somebody like made a wrong decision or like a bad choice in the past about like their career, but then they don't also know how to move past that decision or like how to move forward? Is this something they can do or something you can suggest or like tell someone an advice to help them like shift their mindset to also try and make a move and come out from that? You're already stuck in your past decision, which is already wrong, and you can't change that. But then they don't know how to move past that.
Okay, well, you mentioned mindset. You have to you have to keep working on your mindset, because everything comes from the mindset, how you look at things. You cannot punish yourself forever. You can't keep regretting things that you did in the past, but you have something that you can do today, which is start from now. Look at your life afresh. Again, I would say that it's the same process regardless of where you are starting, regardless of what got you there, whether it's your own decisions or circumstances. First of all, you have to be easy on yourself. Be easy on yourself. And at the end of the day, there's no rush, because usually we have these goals, by this age.
But society pressure too, man. Like, you gotta get your life together by that.
True.
Your career in place, like you gotta get your I think like it's always like slow and like chill until like you finish high school. And then for a little bit, there's a little bit of pressure, but not much when you're in college. But they want you to get like into the right career, and probably the career they chose, not the one you're choosing. Yeah. But then after that, when you finish university or college like this, they start asking you, when are you gonna get your life together? The next question, when are you getting married? Mind you, the whole time you were in school, don't talk to men, don't talk to boys, and then you ask me. Yeah. When are you getting married? Where did I meet the man? I was not talking to them. So it's pressure from society, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, but at whatever point, if actually when you get to that realization that, hey, I am not where I want to be, that's a good place to be. Just the awareness, because you can only do something if you have the awareness. So just coming up with a strategy. Again, asking yourself, okay, where would I rather be? Because by the time you realize that, hey, this was a mistake, it's because you have discovered something else that you would rather be doing, right? Or something that you would have rather done, and then start from there. Hold on to what you have, because of course you have to survive, you have to pay your bills and all that. But then I would say focus on the skills that you need for that new thing. Sometimes it's, and I'm big on getting the skill set as compared to the formal education. I'm not saying that you necessarily need to go back and get another degree if you have one, or that you need to go to school and get a degree. Focus on what value do you want to bring, and focus on making yourself ready for to provide that value. And it's mostly by gaining some kind of skills, and skills that are marketable, right, in line with your passion, or that newly found interest that you feel like, okay, this is what I should have done.
You've been talking about your book.
Okay.
So is it published or yet to be published?
Not yet published. So the title of the book is The Ungraduated Professional. It's about how to land a great career without a college degree.
What inspired you to come with that name?
My life. So that was So actually that was my life, my experience. I was the ungraduated professional for a long time, and I felt, for a long time I was kind of bitter about not having a degree after that long. I was one of the decent students in throughout my school, and I felt like I had fallen off. I had my peers already having their master's degrees, some even their PhDs, and I'm still here, not even I don't have a bachelor's yet. But I think at the same time that feeling also pushed me to, because I don't have this degree, I better be doing something else for myself to elevate myself. And that's why I kept pushing, always trying to get the next skill. I got my airframe and power plant license, whereby I can work on pretty much any aircraft. I went and got my private pilot license. Just adding, small things. Like I said, I had this dream to be an all-round aviation professional, whereby I can design an aircraft, I can repair it, I can fly it, I can fix it, all those things. But yeah, the ungraduated professional came from me being able to do a lot of things and get into a decent career, even without a college degree. And I felt like a lot of people beat themselves up because they don't have a degree. And I thought, you know what, let me write about it.
Yeah. What about there are some folks who are graduated, and they'll be like, so who the book, who is it really for?
So the book is not just for people who don't have a degree. The book has principles that help pretty much anyone who feels stuck, who feels like their background is limiting them. Being ungraduated is pretty much like the flaw of what this book, who this book can help. So going all the way up to people who have high level degrees, but they feel like, hey, like, what am I doing with this degree? Or you still want to transition to another career, or you're not progressing as quick as you can. So anyone who is trying to achieve success, accelerate their career, and things like that.
He talked about getting stuck. There is someone watching you right now. They are stuck in their career. They're in survival mode. What advice can you give them?
So what I can tell you is that first of all, you need to come up with a strategy, and not just come up with a strategy. Just the awareness first. Let that push you to get into something that you actually desire. At the end of the day, like I said, there's no rush, so you do have some time to reorganize yourself, to re-strategize. And then take those steps that I talked about, like the career framework that I talked about, even though I didn't go through all the steps.
I have a friend on IG, a vet, and he has a BMW. He has tinted it like illegally. Let me use the word illegally, right? And every time he gets stopped, so he records those contents and puts them on IG. He's a vet, and every time he's stopped, that's one thing he gets away with, because every time they come, they ask him, your tint is way over the limit, even the windshield and stuff. And once they give him, he gives out the ID. They see he's a vet, and the cops say, man, I hate giving vets a ticket. And so he's like, here you go, thank you for your service. So it's like something he escapes, from being a vet. He doesn't get a ticket. You as a vet, what's one thing that you escape from?
What
do you get away with as a vet?
Well,
or an advantage of being a vet?
So I mean, we do have a lot of discounts for so many things. Like Lowe's, Home Depot. They do have military discounts. In addition to that, there's still some benefits that are that follow you for life.
Okay.
So if you want to buy a house,
Mm-hmm.
zero down payment,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
things like that.
Okay.
So there's so many perks of being a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
I've never used my status to get away with a ticket. Well,
Yeah.
I don't have any tickets, but
Yeah.
it's not something that I've never.
You should try one day.
Bad advice.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
Thank you so much
absolutely.
for coming and giving us insight. I have learned a lot. I need to be skillful. You know what I mean?
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
You can find me on Facebook, and Instagram as Coach Stan Official. That's who I go by. If you send me a message on there, I will respond. I have actually helped some people who reached out to me even on TikTok.
Okay.
And they asked me, okay, so how can I be a pilot in the army, things like that. So yeah, just reach out to me. You follow me on my social media, all that information. You can get that information when it goes live. What I would like to tell you is that do not disqualify yourself.
Nice.
As long as you're still living, as long as you have breath,
Yeah.
you still have the chance to be what and who you want to be. Just sit down, again, come up with a strategy, a plan, and if you need help, and I highly encourage this, get somebody who has gone through that path.
Yeah.
Imitate what they have done, or even ask them how you can get from point A to point B. But the biggest thing is, strategize. You come up with a strategy, ask for help when you need it, and just have clarity, because clarity creates momentum, and momentum changes lives. It's been really an honor and great conversation.
Yeah, I have enjoyed. When you launch the book, please come back.
Absolutely.
We can go through it now, specific into details,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and then maybe we'll have a few more and graduate, and they can, grab a few nuggets from the book. So thank you so much
Absolutely.
for coming.
Yeah, thank you. And just to mention, I will actually be having a launch party.
Okay.
It's still in the works, but once that set, I'll definitely let you
Invite
guys
us.
know.
We are going
Absolutely.
to come. We'll
Absolutely.
come. Yes, we'll
Yeah.
come. So thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
Hey, that was Tane. If you have been inspired, please make sure you share this information with somebody else. If you're a parent, share this to your kids. Hey, kids, young adults, let your parents see this so that they can understand you and they can see somebody from a different lens, and they can try to change the way they think about us. Until next time, we out. Peace.